this is basically a basic webinar today, so it's very helpful for new users, but it can be a refresher for those of you that want to go over the basics today. Right now we are in the, oh, and I'm Remy, by the way. I'm one of the girls at the help desk here, so when you call in, I could be one of the ones that answer the phone. All right, so let's get started. The screen that we're in right now is the scheduler screen. I'll just have you take note that the version number is always at the very top of your screen. This can be important because when we call in, sometimes we want to see what version you're on to see if you need an update at all. Okay, so on the right-hand side of your screen, when you have a patient selected, you will see their information on the right-hand side depending on what view you're in. So here we have the patient name, and then we have the insurance number. That is their PHN number, the phone number, and sometimes you can select, if you wish, you could select a reason for their appointment. So right here it's displaying their reason. Here there's also a little note that this patient has a peanut allergy. That I will show you where that is entered later on in the webinar. It shows the date of the appointment, the time, and also the room of the appointment as well, and the number of slots right here. Further down, we have their date of birth, their default bill to, which in this case is patient, their last appointment and their next appointment, and their default reminder is set to phone, which I will show you later in the webinar how to get that. All right, on the very top of your screen, you have the basic scheduler for the month. And today's date, or the current date, is always highlighted in red here, okay? And then we have our time on the right-hand side and the date at the top. So we'll start at the top left to look at some of the icons in the scheduler. So on the very far left-hand side, we have the Clear Fields button, okay? So that does exactly what it says. It clears the fields. You can see here now that all these fields are now blank, and you can just start typing in a patient's name if you wish, okay? Also take note that when you highlight or when you hover your mouse over any of these icons, it will display the description of what it is. So that might be helpful until you get familiar with them, okay? So next to that, we have the summary of appointments. So what this does is it shows a column of the practitioner schedule, and it shows all the practitioners on one screen here. So it's kind of helpful if you want to look at the day just sort of at a glance for all your practitioners. You can also right-click on any of the time slots, and it'll bring you to that practitioner's schedule on that time slot that you've selected as well. Okay, so we can do that here. So if I right-click there, you notice that the time has changed to 11:30 a.m., and we're on practitioner race. Okay. The next icon on your screen, we hover over it. It says Practitioner List. Click on that. It'll bring up your list of active practitioners. So it's not going to show you inactive practitioners, just the ones that have a current schedule in Clinic Essentials right now. If you click Edit, you can get into any one of their setups here. So you'd have your information that you would enter when you're adding them in. Please take note that when you are adding practitioners, you do need to call the help desk, as we do add a user to your license key. As well as when you remove one. You can make them inactive, but you need to call the help desk as well to do that, to make them inactive on you, because you pay per user. So you want to take note of that. And then you would set up their schedules right here, and you can set up a special schedule as well. And we can go into detail after the webinar. Feel free to call in if you want to go into detail on how to set that up, as well as setting up their general schedule as well. Okay, so come over there. We're back to the main list of practitioners. You can hit enter on any one of these, and you just call up their schedule. All right. The next icons we have on here are the previous and next practitioner icons. So it'll just scroll through that list. You can go previous or next. It's helpful here because there's some clinics that have a lot of practitioners to scroll through. So it's handy to be able to scroll through, and then you can see their names change at the top as well as the practitioner color, so you can tell who you're on. Okay, the next one we have here is the calendar view. This is a nice little feature that we have. You can make a note on the calendar as well as assign a color. So okay, say if I right-click here in the middle, we can say we want yellow. So we'll click that, and okay. And then we can say webinar, a little note there. Okay, and then you can close this. And now you can see that over here on the right-hand side, on the 26th, which is today's date, we have it highlighted in yellow, and when you hover your mouse over it, it says webinar. Okay, so that's nice. You know, if you have something going on in the office, you can add that in there. So that was under calendar view. We have monthly view. Oh, it looks like I just got kicked out. Sorry about that, guys. Just hang on one moment. Just bear with me 1 minute. Okay. Just going to go into a different version here. And I'll pull my screen over so you guys can see it. Apologize for that. And just going to go. Okay. So that was in the monthly view. So you could just see the whole month. And then we have the weekly view here. Okay, so then you can see all the patient appointments here for the week. Again, if you right-click on any of the time slots, it'll pull that information up. So if we right-click here, we now have that 12:15 time slot available here for us to put an appointment in. All right, so here is the print appointments icon. So if you left-click on that, it'll bring up all the reports that are available in Clinic Essentials. So you can call up your day sheet or your end-of-day reports here. And again, there's hundreds of them to go through. So if you have any questions on any of the reports, please feel free to call in and we can explain them to you. Okay? And also here on the right-hand side, you can select which practitioners you want the reports for, as well as inactive practitioners. If you just click this off, it'll show you inactive practitioners as well as the specialty code. And if you need to call up a patient's name, you can call them up in here if that report pertains to a patient. Okay? So that's in there. And then we have the appointment reminders over here. There's the phone reminders. So these patients that have been called up here, their default their appointment reminder is phone. Under text, this patient has their default set as text, and these ones are set as email. Okay. So underneath here, we have a preset template here that would automatically fill in the client's name here, as well as the practitioner they're with, the date, and the time of the appointment, okay? As soon as you hit send, it'll email this to the patient, as well as if you hit send here, it'll text this to the patient. So we can show you how to set that up if you call in. There are a few steps to get that going, but once it's set up, it's really just a click of a button and you have your reminder set. Just make sure you're on the appointment or on the date in the calendar that you want to send the appointments for. So you would change this to, like, if you wanted to send them for tomorrow, if they have an appointment tomorrow and you want to remind them today of that, you would set that to tomorrow's date, okay? So we'll close this now, and we're moving on to the reminders and recalls. Okay, so if there were reminders or recalls, they'd be listed here, and this is how you would manage them. You would mark them as complete, and then you could just go on. So there would usually be a list of reminders or recalls. You could just show reminders here. You can show both or just have recalls displayed there. Again, reminders and recalls need a little bit further explanation. So there's a whole setup in the practitioner per practitioner, but once it's set up, it's really easy to maneuver through this screen. So if you wanted to call in for that, we can show you how to set all that up. This is just showing you where the screen is in the program. Okay. All right, so moving on, for booking appointments. Okay, when you left-click on the appointment time, it will change in here. Then you can just call up any patient that you like. If you just start typing in their name here, we can do, let's see. Okay, so we have this patient. It automatically populated that because I started typing it in and it just auto-filled that in. If, for example, let's clear the fields here. We click here and we just typed in web like that. it's going to bring up the patient list. Okay, so then you can find the patient in there that you want. You just scroll through. There we go. We can hit enter or right-click, and it'll call up that patient. You can save it there. There we go. We have that webinar patient booked in for 3:45. Now, when the patient comes in, you just click on their name. You can see that they're in here on the right-hand side. And if you hover your mouse over the billing button, you can see that there's F-keys, preset F-keys in there with all the things that you could choose from to bill this patient. You can choose to just push the F key on your keyboard as well, and it'll do the same thing. So if we click here we go. Here comes up the invoicing screen, as well as you can see your template here of all your F keys, okay? Then you can, if you decided that this patient, you're okay with what you've selected, you just hit save here. You can uncheck payment if they're not going to pay today, or leave that checked. You want to choose cash, check, debit, direct deposit. We wouldn't choose, obviously, Visa, MasterCard, or other. Okay. You can. I'm just going to uncheck invoice and print invoice in this case. Then we hit save. Okay. Now you can see that this patient has turned blue, which means that this patient has now been billed. So that indicates that this patient has been billed. All right. So now for new patients, this is a little bit different. Okay, so let's do, okay, so because this patient doesn't exist in the database already, this screen, this search warning will pop up, okay? So it's saying patient not found in database, okay? I like to tell people to choose that this is a new patient, not add them in right away, but you can. When you add them in right away, it assigns them a chart number right away. Okay, so what this means is that if they decided not to show up for their appointment, you have now wasted that chart number, okay? You can't reuse those. So we always select new. Okay, you can type in their phone number. Okay, you can choose a reason. So in here, you have reasons in here that you at your clinic have set up already. In here, let's see. So we have new patient here. So we can select that if you want. And if you wanted to add a reason, you can just you just click the add button, put in the description of the reason. You can choose your color, how you want it booked, horizontally or vertically, how many slots you want to take up. And then you can have a new reason in there if you want. Right now we're just going to select one. Okay. And then we just, I'm going to use this time slot. Actually, we're going to hit save. Okay, so there we go. So we have our new patient in there. Okay, so when a patient comes in, a new patient comes in, you have to hit arrive first. So a lot of times people will call in and be like, I can't bill my new patient. It's because you have to actually click arrive for you to fill in the rest of their information. Okay, and then we click add. So you'll see this patient listing come up. We click add here. Okay. So now we're in the patient information screen, and you can just put in the rest of their information as they come in. We're just going to add this in. Maybe we'll put in, the required is the gender here. We're also going to put in a date of birth as well. Okay, so then we can save that. So now that patient has been assigned a chart, okay, and then we can proceed to bill. We'll go into here. And then we can choose that they're going to pay cash. You can also set this to be their default billing as well. You can just check that. And if you hit save here, okay, good. And then if you want to go and bill this patient again, that one automatically pops up. Okay, so every time they go in to bill this patient now, this would be their default billing template. Okay. So now I want to show you how to set up an F key. So available F keys. So this practitioner has F1 to F5 used up. You have up to F9 to use. So if you wanted to set up an F key for this practitioner, because it is set up per practitioner, we can go into the list of B codes. So there's a little lookup icon here, binoculars, beside code. And this brings up all the different C codes that you have in the database that have been set up by the clinic, okay? Keep in mind that you can sort by these different headings here. So, for example, if I wanted to find this particular code by description, I can just start typing. You can see that's already highlighted in red because I clicked on it and then started typing. And we'll go, let's see which one I want here. Okay, so let's say we wanted orthotics, okay? $3.75, okay? We'll click this little save. So right beside the template selection, there's a save and delete button. We'll click the save here. We want to save it to F6. So what we do is we push the F key on our keyboard. You can see that it just types in F6 function key. We can highlight that, delete it, and we can just type in orthotics. Okay, and click OK. Now you can see that that has been added to the F key that you can just use as a shortcut key to bill. All right, so we'll close this. Or we'll save it, actually. We'll save this. We can bill that as well. Okay, so now I want to show you the patient information screen, okay? How you can get between the two screens, from the scheduler to the patient information screen. If you want to carry the patient with it, so the patient information, if you want to carry that forward, you can just push the F12 key on your keyboard, and it'll pull that patient's information forward into the patient information screen. You can now see what we have billed the patient. So it's really quick to go back and forth if you want to see what you've billed for the patient. And you can see all their information on the left-hand side here. If they have an email address, it's a good idea to get that information from them, because you can actually email templates and things like that too. Let's see, edit that, put one in. Okay, so we'll save that. Again, if you want to edit any of these fields, you do have to click the edit field and then save after, okay? Now to the left of this, we have this email button. There are some preset templates in here, and you can add them at any time. Again, you'd want to call in for us to show you how to do that, okay? So, and it'll just fill in their information here. And then you can also attach documents as well that you have saved on your computer. You just go to this little icon here and browse for it on your computer, and you can. So you want to make sure you have that if they're in insurance billing, okay, as well as their full address, including their postal code. Okay. So under the insurance tab here, you have your Icbc, so your auto insurance information. You do need your date of accident, so that is a required information for a submission through Teleplan, okay? So you need to have that. For WCB, you do need to have the date of injury as well as their area of injuries, okay? So those are also required. Otherwise, you'll get a report printed out that shows you the missing information, okay? So it'll say you're missing your area of injury codes, and you'd have to fill that in. As well as for chiropractic, you would need the 8C report that you would bill, and the report is attached on that on the 19134 code. The 8C report is attached to that. That's for chiropractic, so that is also required for WCB, as well as the employer and occupation information for WCB. Under this other tab here, this is where you would set their default billing. Okay, so right now this patient is set to bill to patients as their default. You could just click edit here and choose the following. If you wanted to change it to WCB, you just select that and you click save, okay? So now this patient is set to bill to WCB. Also under the other tab, you set their default appointment reminder. So when I was showing you in the scheduler the appointment reminder screen, the patients are appearing under which one was set as the reminder. So some were set as phone, some were set as text, some were set as email. Again, you would click edit here, and you would choose, say this patient wants email. We have their email address, so that's good, and we'd hit save. If you choose text, you have to also collect their cell carrier, And you can test it with them right at the office to make sure that it's going to go through correctly. So for text, you do need their cell carrier as well for the appointment reminders, okay? All right, so back to the ledger here. There is a summary view and a detail view in the ledger. If you want to look at apply payment details, this is helpful when you're looking at a patient's ledger and you're not sure what payments are applied to what. If we click on the payment and go to apply payment details, it's going to show you the date here and what it's applied to, okay? And the same for the fees. So I'll show you that as well. You can see here, so fees and payments. It just makes it a little bit easier sometimes when you have a full ledger and you want to break it down. This apply payment details is a very useful tool. Also, this action window here, it's a drop-down actually. It has all of your functions that you can do on the ledger, so resubmitting, marking something as submitted, your NSF, your hold, your write-off, your reversing remarks. So if you want to add a remark to send to Teleplan, and your other info, which shows you your refusals as well. So that's all in here. It's in the drop-down next to action, okay? You can add a note on a ledger, so you can put anything in there, and it'll indicate that there's a note. View, this is viewing the invoice, so whatever you had selected, so I'll go back here. This transaction has been selected. If you go to view, you can break it down here. And you can also, just so you know, you can change the payment type in here as well. If you notice that you've made a mistake on the payment, this one has been marked as cash, you can then change it to check if it should have been marked as check. And you just hit save. So you don't have to reverse the whole transaction if you notice that just the payment type was incorrect. All right, so save that. Delete. You can delete any billing entries as long as it's on the current date. So you just select on the payment, yes, we wish to delete, and we want to delete the fee as well. And then you can just rebill. Okay, so you can do that as long as you're on the current day. If it's the next day and you wanted to remove it, you would have to unapply the payment and reverse it out using this action toolbar, and there's the reverse option here. Okay, so if you want further information on how to do reversals, please call the help desk and we can show you that, because there are a few different scenarios that you can do for that. So, all right, so the Practitioner Refer tab here, this is where you can either change, this is the default practitioner. So because this was a new patient and we scheduled them under Practitioner Race, it automatically assigned it as the default practitioner. You can change that. So you can just go edit here, go to the little binoculars beside that field and select which practitioner you want to make the default for this patient. You can add in their family doctor, their general referral, patient referral practitioner referral here, and then this would be for Teleplan. If you wanted to submit that information, you would use the drop down here and do the referred by or referred to. Visits. This is for MSP. So if the patient has come in and used MSP visits here and they've used MSP visits at a different clinic, the maximum amount that they get is 10. So you can manually adjust that here. So if you've known they've had 2 visits elsewhere, you can just type in a 2 there and save it, and it'll start calculating on top of that amount. All right. And we've gone over insurance. I do want to mention third party as well. You can enter any third party in here by hitting add, or you can select off the list here. So Blue Cross, for example, you have to enter in their group number, policy number. You can put in their deductible if that applies, and the percent coverage. So you can use any private fee code amount you have in the system already, and it would just take the percentage and charge that to the third party, whatever percentage you've entered here. All right, so you can call in for that. There's a couple of different ways you can do third parties, so if you want more information on that, feel free to call in. All right, so end of day reports. Okay, so we'll click save. We're still in edit mode there. You can access your reports from this screen as well. So we'll click reports. And we'll go under end of day. And you can see here we have set as the default the daily charges and receipts. Remember, you can select any report on the left-hand side here, click the set default or button here, and then you don't have to think about which reports you need to print. So that's just a tip there. So if we go preview here, okay, we'll maximize that for you guys. And you can see that the total deposit for cash is $143.75. So you always want to ensure that your card and cash deposits match your actual card receipts from your terminal. So you want to verify that that matches. If it doesn't match, you just bring them up into the ledger again. So if you notice that this one is incorrect, you go back into this view screen, click on the payment here. Oh, that shouldn't have been cash, that should have been debit. And then you just click Save. Okay? So you just always want to make sure that matches at the end of the day. All right, so that concludes our webinar. It's just a basic one, so if you have any more questions, feel free to start asking them now. You can just start chatting. So let me just close this. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. So just feel free to start typing away, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. If it is something that is quite in-depth, I will just ask you to call the help desk. You may get me, or you may get Cleo, or Carolina can help you as well, and we can go into more in-depth on any of the features that I have shown you today. Again, it was a brief overview of the features, but we are always here to help you to go in-depth on those things, okay? So feel free to type in any questions that you have. Okay, so somebody has asked how to delete a canceled appointment. So I'll go over that. So let's say we wanted to cancel this one. And my screen's just oversized here. So you're about to cancel an appointment, you say okay, and there we go. So you want to be able to delete the canceled appointment, or because there's two different options there. You can delete appointment if you had entered it by error, or you can just cancel the appointment if the patient has called in and actually canceled it. And also, I should show you this as well. In this view screen here, it's a little option that says view. You can actually see the status of the appointment. So it'll put in here that that was canceled. It keeps the patient name there, and it displays that it was actually a canceled appointment. So if you go back, this is the regular view. Again, this is showing you a little more detail there. And it also shows you the appointment reasons as well in there. Okay, so somebody wants to go over the Doctors tab icon. So do you mean the practitioner list then here? Let me see here, I'm not sure. So I think this was, Anna, did you want to go over the, did you mean the Doctor Referral tab? Let's see. So that's the Practitioner Referral tab. This is the default practitioner that's selected for this particular patient. So this would be, when they go to bill, this would be the practitioner that it would, well, technically when they're new patients and you bill them under that practitioner, this is the practitioner that it would sign it to. You can't, there's a difference between the default and the billing practitioner. So you can still bill a different practitioner, so that would be a billing practitioner, but their default would be the one that's set in here. So usually it's when they're a new patient and it's the practitioner that they've been scheduled under. When you go to add them in, it'll assign that practitioner as their default. So you can always change that. And then we have the family doctor that you can set their general referral. So let's hit edit here. You can have a general referral there. There's a list in here that's preset that you can select from, or you can add them in as well. So that's for all of these. You can have a patient referral and a practitioner referral as well. And again, this refer type is mainly meant for when you're submitting to Teleplan. If you do require a practitioner referral or a family doctor to be submitted along with that, you would select these options here to make sure that that gets submitted along with the information. All right. I forgot this tab. I just noticed now, the emergency tab. You can select a patient as the emergency contact in this lookup here. So you could select that patient, or you can just fill in, you can put the relation as well if you wanted to. You can say mother. Okay? So this is if a patient is the emergency contact. Also, the Notes tab here, if you wanted to display a warning message, so that patient that I showed you earlier that had allergy to peanuts, that was in here. I don't have that patient selected right now, but when you click Display Warning and you put anything in here and save that, it'll then pop up when you go to schedule that patient an appointment. It'll remind you of their allergy. Okay. Are there any more questions? I should also mention that on our website, clinicessentials.com, that we do have a knowledge base there. So there are articles like how-to with steps on various parts of our program. If there's something there that you don't see, you can request an article and we will post it up there. We've also enabled a chat option there. So on the home page of the website, you can initiate a chat. If it's like a brief question, like you're dealing with a patient and you don't know how to access a certain report, you can just quickly send us a chat and we will get back to you promptly. So there's that option. We just have enabled that, so feel free to use that option on our website as well, or just call in and we can go over anything that you like. All right. Anybody have any more questions or? We'll give it another minute. Okay, so I guess that's it. That will be the conclusion to our webinar today. Again, we look forward to hearing from you. I hope this helped a little bit, sort of give you familiarized with where things are in the program. Again, if you want further details, feel free to call us. We'll be happy to go over anything or set something up for you guys so that it makes it easier on you. All right, thank you again for joining the webinar, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.